All's Fair, a Ryan Murphy $70 million vanity project that somehow convinced Glenn Close, Sarah Paulson, Niecy Nash, and Naomi Watts to deliver career worst performances while Kim Kardashian read lines like a hostage. And this show debuted with 0% on Rotten Tomatoes and received The Guardian's 18th zero-star review in their 204-year history, yet became Hulu's biggest scripted series premiere in 3 years with 3.2 million views. So, naturally, I had to take the time to watch it for myself, and by God, I want that time back, okay? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Comic Chris, you can call me Chris, and today we're talking about maybe the best show ever. And by the best show, I mean not the best show. And I wanted to do a service today, okay? I wanted to save you, save your time. And I put myself through watching this. And if you've watched it, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Or maybe you had fun, you know? We'll talk about it. We'll get into it. It was an otherworldly experience. But before we get into this ugliness, I just want you to know you look beautiful today. Very beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, handsome, even. Okay? Now that we got that out of the way, let's get into the video, okay?
That's what we want, our own boutique.
So Ryan Murphy, my arch nemesis. Watch this video, you know what I mean, okay? Go watch that video after this one. You can go watch it for reference later. I don't like Ryan Murphy, okay? But he is the man behind Glee. It's a good show, you know? I didn't watch it, but I've heard it's good. I don't know. And American Horror Story has some good elements. I watched like 4 or 5 seasons. It was pretty good. A little up in some areas where I was like, wow, red flags, okay? But that's just Ryan Murphy. And right now, you could say that he's one of Hollywood's most powerful producers who consistently makes tone-deaf decisions. For instance, Murphy's Netflix series Monster, which we talked about here, perfectly encapsulates his approach to storytelling, which is exploit real tragedy for entertainment. And again, if you want to know more about all that, you can go to that video, but I won't dwell on it. And Kim Kardashian, the main character of today, had already appeared in Murphy's American Horror Story Delicate, and one Reddit critic described her performance as, quote, "Her delivery is a little flat. She doesn't have a huge range of emotion with her face," unquote. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that she's not an actress. Well, technically she is. You know, if she's acting, she's an actress. But she's not a seasoned actress. And second is because she can't move her face because of what's in her face. And, you know, I'm all for whatever you want to do. But it's my problem with a lot of actors today. It's like, you know, I get that there's a beauty standard and then you're on TV, but if you have to move your face for a living and be on screen and show emotions, I don't think you should be doing all that too much, you know? Otherwise, you're going to get this. You're going to get All's Fair. Okay, we'll get into it. But Sarah Paulson came to her defense at that comment and said, quote, "I think it is absolutely time for people to take Kim Kardashian seriously as an actress." And you know what? I freaking love Sarah Paulson. Also, side note, best part of this whole show was Sarah Paulson. If you're gonna watch it for any reason, it's that, all right? But in my humble opinion, she was not excellent, Sarah. I know you're promoting a show, but don't go saying that. She was Kim Kardashian. She played herself, basically, or actually the dream version of herself, which we'll also get into. The irony is rich. But this whole thing began when Disney executive Dana Walden introduced Murphy to the Kardashian-Jenner clan. And Murphy brought a reality show pitch to Kim, and Kim actually reportedly started texting during the presentation. Oh, she got bored. And after Murphy nervously finished, momager Kris Jenner delivered the line that would birth this catastrophe. And Mother said, quote, "That was really good, sweetie, but you should write a role for Kim," unquote. I also want to preface this by saying I grew up watching Keeping Up with Our Kardashians. I don't watch it anymore, but even recently, like as like close as 2 years ago, I was watching it with my mom and my sisters. It was our guilty pleasure. So I just want to bake that into this. I know reality Kim Kardashian and her family and all that. So I feel like I can gather some info and give some constructive criticism, but also appreciate where she's come from, all her quarrels, all her privilege, all that stuff. So this isn't just like a shit on type video. I definitely take some guilty pleasure in watching shows like this. All right. So when Murphy had to go back to the drawing board and pitch the legal drama, Kim agreed immediately. And her reasoning, as Murphy quoted, was, quote, because it's iconic and I like iconic shit. Which, like, I have no notes for that. I think that's fine. And the concept was supposedly inspired by Laura Wasser. I don't know. Don't sue me, because she's one of Hollywood's ultimate divorce lawyers and Kim's own attorney, who became a consulting producer on the show, which makes me think she's not real. Okay, she's not a real lawyer. Don't sue me. I'm joking. This is a joke. Okay, but I'm just saying that because there's like no real law in it. I don't think there was no moment where there was a courtroom. Maybe there was like a second. Might have to fact check me on that, but I don't think that we ever got to a courtroom or anything like that. They just always sit around the table and like talk and finish each other's sentences like it's Hannah Montana, like it's a kids Disney show. Like, you know what? We don't like the way you're talking to us, so we're gonna sue your ass.
Your favorite case of the past 10 years?
I kid you not. And I'll get more into it. I keep bouncing around. But anyway, so in December of 2023, Hulu bought it and they had a straight to series order. So that means no pilot, no testing. They were just like, Kim Kardashian and Ryan Murphy, here's $70 million. Give me a few episodes, let's go. And Kim earning over $10 million for her dual role as lead actress and executive producer. Nice payday, Kim. I just know Kris Jenner locked that in for her. I just know it. But Kim plays a successful lawyer who presumably attended law school and passed the bar. Meanwhile, in reality, and this is kind of the irony in it, is that Kim began studying actual law in 2018 through California's Law Office Study Program, which is an apprenticeship available only in 4 states, and she has no actual college degree, being 15 credits shy of graduating. But props to her for taking on law nonetheless. Before taking the actual California bar, apprentices must pass the baby bar, which is notoriously difficult with a 27% pass rate. And after 3 failed attempts, she actually passed in December of 2021, which, like, props. I have nothing to diss there. Like, good for her for keep on going at it, Good for her for continuing that journey. And allegedly, she studied over 5,000 hours over 6 years, completing her apprenticeship in May of 2025. Props. Not for me, okay? And on November 3rd, 2025, one day before All's Fair premiered, Kim appeared in Vanity Fair's lie detector test series. And this made me laugh a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. She admitted using ChatGPT for legal advice during her studies and tests.
I use it for legal advice. So when I am needing to know the answer to a question, I'll take a picture and snap it and like put it in there. They're always wrong. It has made me fail tests.
Are you serious?
All the time.
And she called ChatGPT in this interview her toxic friend, while a polygraph confirmed she was telling the truth. So the timing couldn't be more perfect. I don't know why that's something you'd want to admit, but this worries me for the lawyers of the future, or just any job for the future. Are there like doctors using ChatGPT for their tests? Like, I swear to God, if I go to a hospital and I see my doctor when I'm getting emergency surgery on my insides or something, go to his phone and talk into it like how to perform it, just leave me. Just leave me, okay? But in July 2025, Kim would take the California bar exam. And on October 24th, on Graham Norton, she confidently states, I will be qualified in 2 weeks. And on November 4th, All's Fair premieres. And on November 7th, Kim posts glamorous beach photos looking confident as ever, as she should. And on November 8th, she says, well, I'm not a lawyer yet. I just play a very well-dressed one on TV. That you do, Kim. That you do. And then November 10th comes and Kim rants on TikTok that maybe 4 psychics told her she'd pass. can't make this up. I have the receipts, all right? And she says, quote, "They're all full of shit." And she would do this at her mother's 70th birthday party and would also call them pathological liars. I'd say that's probably about 90% of psychics, it seems. But to blame failing your bar exam on psychics, Kim, we need to take some responsibility. Okay, we need to take a little responsibility, all right? Ask ChatGPT about responsibility. It'll come up with some good stuff for you. But let's get into the production. Okay, let's get into the show. We have Kim Kardashian as Allura Grant. I just know she picked her own name, Allura, and I know she asked ChatGPT. And then we have Glenn Close. Love Glenn Close, by the way, as Dina Standish. And she has 3 Oscar nominations, by the way. And the lovely Sarah Paulson as Carrington Lane. She's also an Emmy winner. And Naomi Watts, who's amazing as well, as Liberty Ronson and has had 2 Oscar nominations. And Niecy Nash Betts as Emerald Green, who's also an Emmy winner and also fantastic. This cast is amazing. Like, the cast's amazing. And even the guest stars and stuff, like, it's there. But then there's Kim in the center. And she just kind of takes a hold of everybody and just kind of she brings them all down to her level. It's like, and not to mention, and let's not blame Kim for all of this, okay? She's trying her best. And there are some moments where she does an okay job. The script. Ryan, what was that? The writing? Like, literally Disney Channel shows have better writing. And what's even more slightly embarrassing is that there were 17 executive producers, including, which now looking back just makes more sense, Kris Jenner, she was an executive producer, and Laura Wasser herself, the lawyer. So let's get into the episodes. Okay, let's walk through. Why do you have such a vendetta against the show? What was it about? What happened? How could it be that bad? I'll tell you. Come close and listen, okay? Because the show opens with a flashback to 10 years ago immediately, where we meet, as we just discussed, Allura Grant, Liberty Ronson, Emerald Green, and Carrington Lane. And also the way the show opens and the way every single episode opens is like a trailer of itself, if that makes sense. It's like, I thought I was just watching the trailer for the show when the show opened because it was so like disjointed and I thought I was getting more, and I can't even explain it. And the way it was shot, it was like it was shot on a glam bot. Like the angles are crazy and the zoom ins and the, anyway. So Allura and Liberty are breaking free from their traditional patriarchal law firm with the blessing of their mentor, Dina Standish, which is Glenn Close. And it's like 2 seconds. That's probably about 4 seconds. They're like, I hate working with men. I know I hate working with men. We should make our own. Glenn Close comes in. I knew you guys wanted to make your own law firm. That's it. I'm like, what is going on? What is happening? And then you just get some old men that are laughing like, aha, we're men. We like food and hate women and like beer and hate that women have to work. It's realistic though. It's realistic. And I don't hate on the fact that they want their own women law firm. I like that's fine. But it's just the way they go about it. It's just so campy, ridiculous that it's like, this could have been serious and it could have been really cool, like a Criminal Minds, CSI, which by the way, Anthony Hemingway directed some of the episodes and he also directed CSI and True Blood, which makes sense because this show is shot like CSI meets Keeping Up with the Kardashians shot on a glam bot. That's what it is, okay? But anyway, the themes are like kind of there, but it all just feels like it's leaning so much into camp and parody, but it's not. Like, you think this is the longest SNL sketch you've ever watched, but you realize, oh no, they're serious. So all 3 women get together and they're starting an all-female boutique divorce firm, okay? And Dina lets them poach one more lawyer, and they choose Emerald over the homely Carrington, which is Sarah Paulson. And she did a fantastic job with the horrific script that she had, all right? But feeling rejected and humiliated, Carrington vows revenge that will fuel the entire series. But not really. Like, she just shows up sometimes I feel like we should have had a lot more of her, but we don't get enough of Sarah. But now, flash forward after about 10 seconds to present day, and the show immediately establishes its priorities, and that is fashion over function. These people change their outfits 80, 60,000 times per episode. And it's mad. It's crazy. It's madness. Are they serving on a silver platter? Yes. But we're in a law firm. What's happening right now? It really makes sense. And the lawyers sit around in like furs having classist chats where they literally disparage people who start out working at gas stations. Nice, Ryan. Nice. And every episode has like a case or two cases. So it kind of plays like a Criminal Minds, CSI, Grey's Anatomy type episode where every episode's the same, or there's like a patient or there's a case and they solve the case. But where it doesn't make sense is that these cases are solved in like a day or like less than a week. Law doesn't work like that. I'm not a lawyer, didn't go to law school. And I didn't pass the bar, especially divorces, especially the messy rich divorces. It's so bad. And the fact that a lawyer was working on this, a divorce lawyer was working on the show consulting, I'm just like, what the f is going on in Hollywood, But the first case involves Grace Lee, played by Grace Gummer. They couldn't even come up with a different name for this actress. And she's a kept woman divorcing her tech billionaire husband despite a prenup that will leave her with nothing. And when she shows up crying in head-to-toe couture, Emerald looks at her tearful client and delivers the line that becomes the show's entire thesis, which is, "Come on, gloves." I'm gonna just be honest. Her line deliveries are fantastic. I really appreciate her in this show. Okay, Niecy's she's amazing. But the show just like prioritizes high glam, expensive fashion over any sort of emotional reality. So don't expect to get attached to any of these characters because you won't. But you will probably appreciate the outfits. But Grace, the divorcee, reveals she's leaving her husband for another woman. Gasp.
It's called karma.
Specifically, the woman he brought into their marriage for threesomes. Gasp, gasp. And the firm needs dirt. So Emerald trails the husband. He frequents a dominatrix. And the back and forth between the dominatrix and the girls when they first meet is crazy. She's like, "Hey, let me guess. You can't be wives because they often never come in twos. And you don't seem like you'd like dominatrixes, so you must be lawyers."
Jealous wives rarely come in pairs. You must be lawyers.
It's like, nobody talks like that. Also, how did you come to that conclusion? They could be asking for directions for all you know. But they use this information that he goes to a dominatrix to force a settlement. And case closed in roughly 8 minutes of screen time. I shit you not. It's done and done like basically same day. NBD, dude. Next case, let's go. And the second case is even more absurd because Judith Light plays Sheila Baskin, who calls Liberty in a panic from New York. And at the moment, she's locked herself in her bedroom after her husband caught her cheating. So Liberty naturally hops on a private jet because she's rich. Everyone's rich here. Everyone's disgustingly filthy rich, right? And flies across the country and tells Sheila that the $40 million in jewelry her husband gave her is all she needs because it was gifted in California where she was married, making it legally hers. So if they divorce, she's got money still because he gifted her jewelry worth $40 million. Same. Not same. So they jointly pack up the jewels from the apartment and that's it. It's just an entire cross-country trip that literally could have just been an email. She could have been like, "Girl, just grab all the jewelry he gifted you in California and get the out of there. XOXO, Gossip Girl, And then you save yourself like a $20,000 flight or whatever. But meanwhile, Allura, Kim K, seems happily married to Chase, who's obviously a younger NFL player. I feel like she also got to choose who she was married to. And he gives her a ring that belonged to Elizabeth Taylor for their 5-year anniversary. But then, completely out of nowhere, later in the episode, he announces he wants a divorce, saying, quote, "Your success makes me feel small. no. The NFL player who's mega rich feels small because his mega rich lawyer wife makes a lot of money too. The patriarch. But with just a little cherry on the cake, he also reveals he's seeing someone else. Gut punch, you know? That guy. And meanwhile, this whole interaction, watching Kim act in like a serious moment is, I feel like something everyone should experience.
You want a divorce. What are you talking about?
She can only really do one or two facial expressions.
Big life is just too rich for that little Philly kid.
And the episode ends with the shocking reveal that his affair is with Milan, who is, which I forgot to mention, is Alora's own receptionist. Gasp. Gasp. He's sleeping with her receptionist. Crisscross. What's happening? But basically, I didn't care about anyone in this first episode. I was like, okay, I was too busy giggling. And maybe that's a good reason to watch the show. If you want a good giggle, if you want a drinking game kind of show with how many times Kim doesn't move her face, you might die. Actually, maybe don't do that. But yeah, there's just not a lot of substance, and the cases resolve so easily they might as well not even exist. So don't watch it if you're like really into law and you're like, ooh, cool, a law show. Don't. Go watch Law and Order or something, okay? But if you like Keeping Up with the Kardashians and you like Troll 2, I think this might be the show for you. Okay? But that brings us to our second episode. So this episode opens with Alora trying to conflict out all the best lawyers by booking consultations so Chase, her NFL soon-to-be ex-husband, can't hire them. But of course, Alora forgets one lawyer, and that is her arch nemesis, Carrington Lane, Sarah Paulson. And when she finally calls Carrington answers with, and she has all the best lines, and by the best lines, I mean the worst lines, but she somehow finds a way to deliver them in the best way. She says,
"How are you holding up, you poor discarded rag?"
Yeah. Ryan Murphy. Fantastic vocabulary. But anyway, Alora's too late because Chase already hired Carrington. Dang it! And then we move to this week's client, or today's client, because the cases get solved in a day. And that is Deandra Barber, an inventor whose husband put failing companies in her name while she created products. And now she's drowning in debt from his secret business failures. And the firm, the three women who finish each other's sentences, by the way, which is so, it takes any sort of serious moment, which this moment is very serious, by the way, because something's about to happen that's horrific. It just takes away any sort of seriousness if adults are finishing each other's sentences. Like, we can't help you, but we wish we could, but you are So the firm, the three girls, tell her that even if they win, she'll still look complicit in his con and, quote, "this hell will never be over," unquote. So that's when Deandra calmly steps out onto the balcony behind the three lawyers for a smoke.
Can I, go vape?
But then, without warning, just jumps. And she's on a very tall building. I have to be careful with what I say because YouTube doesn't like this, but I'm talking about a fake show, by the way, YouTube. But, you know, very serious thing. The way the three lawyers react is not how a human being would react. Mostly Kim. She's in the middle and she's like, oh my God, what? She just jumped? And then the next scene cuts to all of them drinking champagne in a private jet. Which, you know, knowing Ryan Murphy, he's probably like, I just wanted the parallels of, you know, somebody doing the worst thing they could ever do to themselves and then rich people just not caring. It's like, and he never said that, but I just know he'd come up with some bullshit way to be like, when somebody actually says, hey, probably should have taken that a little more seriously. And he'd be like, wow, that's the parallels, blah, 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 shut up. It's like Ryan Murphy, like Quentin Tarantino with feet. He just needs there to be Just ridiculous drama that doesn't even make sense. But like I said, it switches to them on a private jet, albeit talking about what just happened, but also just like moving on and being like, let's go to an auction for jewelry. And this was from the last episode's case with the older lady who was cheating on her husband, who we're supposed to like, even though she cheated on her husband. It's just about like women getting money from their husbands, even though they are sometimes in the wrong. And it's like, what is, like, who's relating to this? People with like over 8 zeros in their bank account can like look at this and be like, oh, same, you know. Who is this for? But anyway, at the auction, they encounter Carrington, Sarah Paulson, who greets them with a barrage of offensive nicknames, calling Allura
Mayor McHeadcheese.
which is kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie, and Liberty as Diane Sawyer, and Emerald as Lola Falana, and Dina as
George Washington.
Low dig. And then back in LA, Emerald investigates Chase and discovers the Milan affair, the one with Allura's assistant. And during the scene, the costume department reached new heights of absurdity because Allura literally looks like she's starring in the Dune movie. I believe more than half the budget, probably 2/3 of the budget went to the costume department, I think. I'm pretty sure. And this is when they deliver the bombshell about Milan, whose car, naturally, has a license plate that says Milan, just in case you didn't know. It was her car. And Dina, channeling her maternal energy, instructs Allura to get mad and seek revenge. And Allura's response is,
Yes, mother.
Kim just really knows how to make a meme, you know? It's like the entire show exists to be clipped for TikTok. I believe it is. And in one of the episode's most bizarre sequences, Allura fantasizes about destroying Milan's car with a baseball bat while wearing a flowing yellow dress, recreating Beyonce's Hold Up video shot for shot, which is so weird. Why? I really feel like this entire show was made primarily for the purpose of letting Kim wear all the stuff in her closet she hasn't had an occasion to wear it for yet. You know what I mean? That dress in your closet, you're like, I don't even know where I'm going to wear that. She just made a show and she's like, I'll just wear all those outfits on the show. Because she does. But anyway, this lemonade homage turns out to just be a daydream, of course. And in reality, she confronts Milan peacefully. And Milan delivers an absolutely unhinged explanation for why she's sleeping with Kim's, or Allura's, husband. And she says she slept with Chase because she wanted to be Allura, saying, quote, I got to be the star rather than the moth circling your flame. Ryan, what the is that? But I also just think Kim is really living her fantasy. Like, she's not a lawyer yet, but she's like, I'm going to play the best lawyer ever and everyone wants to be me. She's just living what she wants to live. And you know what? If she can, she can. Whatever. Who am I to say? But then comes the predictable soap opera twist at the very end of the episode, and that is Milan holding her belly like this and saying she's pregnant with Chase's baby. What? Gasp! We never saw it coming. And that brings us to episode 3. And this episode opens with peak Kim Kardashian territory. And again, it just opens on the weirdest thing. It's like we're halfway through an episode and you just bump into the episode where you're like, what the fuck is going on?
What the fuck is going on?
Like, they're just having a conversation, but it's not like at the beginning of any episode, you know? Like, have some B-roll, have some music, but it's just like, boom, talking about our medical procedures to stay hot, you know? It was like, what the fuck what is this? But anyway, the lawyers are sitting around trading their favorite cosmetic procedures and anti-aging secrets, discussing aging and gravity and public opinion. And to be honest, Kim's in her element here, and I feel like she was not acting here, and it actually felt genuine. From the years I've watched her on reality television, which I know she's acting to a certain degree on there, but like, it felt like that. I was like, oh, this actually feels like the most natural. And I do believe she was just actually talking about procedures she's actually done. So she was just like, I'll improv this, Ryan. I get salmon sperm shot into my face. I get my ass vibrated for 8 hours every 3 days. And then everybody else kind of talks about what procedures they get. And at the end, they kind of do this little thing where it's like, well, you know, it's about doing what you want for yourself and just doing what makes you happy and just keeping the public happy. Looks at camera, breaks fourth wall. They didn't actually do that. But, you know, it's just like, a little shade to the people that judge her. I'm assuming mostly her for getting those procedures. And, you know, I'm impartial. I'm like, get whatever you want, you know? But again, like when you're an actor, it's hard to watch an actor when they can't move their face, you know? Not to mention her ass, dude. Half the shots of every episode are just like her ass, I think. At least that's what I was focused on. Maybe I'm no better than a man. All right. In even one of the episodes, and I can't remember if it was this episode or the next one, she's in a suit with a thong hanging out of her back of the suit. It's crazy. But I know she's just relishing in it. And I was kind of like, she didn't give a fuck. And I'm kind of for it. Whatever. But anyway, in this moment, most genuine acting in the show. And we find out there's an obvious purpose to this just weird conversation. And that's because it's about the episode's case, because the episode's case is about client Leanne, played by Jessica Simpson, in what clearly is meant to be a Pamela Anderson story, because Leanne married rock star Tommy Keith, which is Rick Springfield. And if you're not getting Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee from Leanne and Tommy, you're not in the pop culture, man. It'd be hard to miss. I don't really know the purpose of this either. But when Leanne was about to turn 40 years old, Tommy began berating her appearance after getting a, you know what, she went downstairs for him, if you know what I mean, which I never wanted to see. Thanks, Ryan, you f***ing sick. And also, I'm sorry, but Jessica's resting face during the scene after the you know what is just like, and this is supposed to be like before her surgery, but Jessica Simpson has clearly had surgery too. So it's just another Botox face where she's like, and I'm like, oh, man, that's hard, man. But after this, her husband forces her to undergo 27 plastic surgeries from a doctor known as the Butcher of Beverly Hills, which, like, this guy's a rich rock star. Why would he go to budget Butcher of Beverly Hills if he wants his wife to look mega hot or whatever? It's just weird. But Kim Kardashian's like, the Butcher of Beverly Hills. I thought he lost his license. You know when kids have like a sleepover, like with your cousins or your best friends or whatever, and they get together and they make like a dance routine together or like a little sketch together? I used to do that all the time. That's what this show feels like. I feel like I'm watching kids just what they think adults are like and what they think being a lawyer would be like, and like just a woman in general. And I'm just like, what is it? Good job, sweetie. Yay. Yeah, okay. Let's go get some kids' Happy Meals after this. But meanwhile, after all this, Emerald discovers another layer to Chase's infidelity, and that is that he was also sleeping with Maria, trans woman, a lady of the night, if you know what I mean, played by Hari Neff. And here's where the show kind of becomes a bit offensive, okay? And that is because Alora, Kim Kardashian, already knew Chase, her soon-to-be ex-husband, cheated with multiple cis women, but it's only upon learning about the trans woman, albeit she is a lady of the night or whatever, but she doesn't know what's going on with the other cis women, that she feels the need to get an STI test. So it's like, you didn't get one after you knew he was cheating on you with other people. It's just like, what is the need? Like, Ryan, are you living under that boulder? What the what? So the show just overall has kind of zero self-awareness because it's just rich people being like, na 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 boo boo, we're all rich, we have private jets, you know. And in the most inexplicable plot development yet, Alora and Milan, her assistant, who's sleeping with her husband, go to get tested together for STIs. And why, you ask? Because the doctor supposedly has no appointments for new patients until 2040, Kim Kardashian says, or Alora says. 2040? What? Like, you know that Kim has never waited for an appointment in her life for anything, so she's like, it takes like 15 years for normal people to get appointments, right? Anyway, but the show needs this bizarre bonding moment where Milan reveals that Chase likes to use strap-ons. You know? And then Alora's like, what? And then we get a Glambot zoom in. And then during divorce negotiations, Dina tries to weaponize Chase's relationship with Maria as blackmail material. And then Dina goes back and forth with Carrington, about Alora's divorce and everything. And then Carrington threatens to eat Alora's frozen embryos with A1 steak sauce unless Alora gives Chase everything he wants before calling herself a greedy little pig bottom. They just give Sarah Paulson the most vile things to say in this show. And I think she should be the pregnant one in the show because she delivers. And then we cut to the firm winning Leanne a $42 million settlement, you know, in a day or two, as you do. But that's not enough for her, and she actually follows Tommy and his 22-year-old date to a restaurant and throws sulfuric acid on his face while screaming, "Now you need the surgeon!" And Jessica Simpson gets to do a fantastic maniacal cackle. And then is dragged away by the police. Seemingly probably goes to jail for a long time. I hope it was worth it. But I mean, you know, I feel bad for the character. It's like, she was meant to get all the surgery, and then there's parallels with just women in general and how we all feel we need to never age and all that. I get it, you know? But it's just so over the top where it's like, you're kind of making fun of it at that point, Ryan. Ryan, do you know who women are? Do you know how we work? You know, we think about throwing sulfuric acid, but most of us wouldn't, especially if you had $42 million in the bank. You know? Why would you throw that away? But what do I know? But inspired by this act of violence, Alora decides on her own revenge. And she goes to the fertility clinic and forges Chase's signature on consent documents and has 2 of their frozen embryos implanted without his knowledge or permission. Hey, I'm no lawyer, and you're supposed to be, Kim, but that's illegal. And the show presents this medical fraud and reproductive coercion as an empowering girl boss moment. I was just like, the whole episode, I'm like, who wrote this? A 14-year-old boy with ChatGPT, I forgot. But there actually were moments where I was surprised by the acting and the performances, but then I realized that I was actually watching an ad commercial break on Hulu. There was 2 instances while watching the show where it was like weird because it like cuts in between the show and it'll cut at a scene and then move on. And then I'm like, oh, who's this? This actor's really good. And then it just ends up being like a Cialis ad or some shit. I'm like, oh. I shit you not. And that brings us to the final episode so far, and that is episode 4. And this is finally an episode that intelligently sidelines Kim Kardashian to focus on actual acting and some other side stories that are going on that are definitely more serious. But the episode starts with Emerald living her best solo life with caviar and vibrators, as rich people do, where everyone just keeps pressuring her to date, from her coworkers to her 3 weirdly 25 to 30-year-old high school sons who tell their mother she looks bangable before she heads to a singles mixer. Why, Ryan? Why? And Kim Kardashian shows one acting strength here, and that is her laugh, or her fake laugh, because she's acting. And I know this because I watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and I know that laugh. She has this like weird honk-like laugh from the reality TV years, and she does it here, and I'm like, oh, this feels natural. This is nice. So at this mixer, Emerald spots a man across the room, and they start having a nice evening. And then, Everybody Dance Now comes on. Great song, am I right? But that's when everything goes dark, because Emerald has been drugged with GHB and benzodiazepines. And then she wakes up the next morning with torn, bloodied stockings and fragmented memories of fighting off in a the night previous. It gets very serious. But here's where the show makes an absolutely insane creative choice to me, personally, and that is that during the flashbacks that she's having of the SA, they keep playing, albeit like a disjointed version, but they keep playing Everybody Dance Now while she's getting taken advantage of. And it's just like, I don't know, like, I don't always want to, like, I always want to watch a show and just like take it how it is, but it just makes me, and I just know Ryan Murphy is just a part of this, and I know he's just a freak, and you know, it just makes me, it just made me icky, because I know the actors like don't have anything to do with post, but it's just like, really, that was a choice. Also, they named the title of this episode Everybody Dance Now. That was a choice, just saying. Anyway, meanwhile, this week's divorce case involves Cheryl Goodfader, Mr. Goodfader wanted children, and he's trying to destroy her in the divorce because she refused to give him a baby. And Carrington represents him and arrives to greet Allura and Emerald as Beef Curtains and Black Mae West. Wow, they just give Sarah all the worst things. And she reveals her leverage, and that is that Cheryl had a secret abortion 10 years ago. But the case wraps up instantly when Mr. Goodfader's new girlfriend gets pregnant. Dream fulfilled elsewhere, and he drops everything. So again, another case that just never saw a courtroom, even if it was not solved or what, just no courtrooms in this law drama. But we come back to the storyline, and it escalates when Emerald receives texts with photos of herself bound and gagged. And Allura cleans up the images and finds an address, and they identify the attacker, and he's the son of a Ponzi schemer Dina prosecuted years ago. And this was revenge for his father's... he's no longer living, and, you know, somebody else didn't do it, if you know what I mean. You just gotta be real careful on YouTube. So Emerald meets with her old police partner from Reno 911, actually, naturally parking driver's side windows to driver's side windows in an empty lot like classic TV detectives. But he's playing just as a bad cop as he did on Reno and says there's no evidence for prosecution. And then the twist, the attacker is found dead from a single gunshot wound to the head. And Emerald is like, well, did someone kill him? But they don't know at that point. So Emerald snaps at Dina, blaming her for putting her in danger. And then she goes home to confront her triplet sons, all of whom deny involvement because one was with a girlfriend, one was at a party, and one was home alone watching YouTube. Because she thinks that maybe her sons had something to do with the death of her. And the episode ends with Emerald wondering if one of her boys murdered the attacker. And that is it for the end of the episode. So that fourth one kind of ended on like got more serious. So the rest was like very laughable. And then this was like, whoa, written into some actual serious tones here, you know? It's actually feeling like a law drama, like a Criminal Minds type thing. But all in all, just not good. Not very good. But it's kind of like one of those things. It is a car crash. It's a car crash. You get mad at everybody else who's watching it, but then you pull up and you're just like, oh, man. Shut up! And obviously the show got horrible reviews, and now I think it's sitting around like 5 or 6% on Rotten Tomatoes, and other places have reviewed it. But everybody involved, all the actors, Kim Kardashian, Glenn Close made this Instagram post about a bunny stew, which is a callback to her movie that she did, which I love, called Fatal Attraction, where she put a bunny in a stew, a pet bunny in a stew with somebody she was obsessed with. Anyway, it was a good little callback. They're all taking it in stride. They're just like, I don't care. It's not for everybody, you know, no big deal. And I'm fine with that. I mean, like, as someone that has had a movie come out and be, reviewed in a positive way and reviewed in a horrible way, it's just like, yeah, not everybody's gonna like it, but there is just an overload of tone-deaf themes in this show that it kind of, even that I can't even argue for. I'm just like, yeah, okay, it's not for everyone, but it's I don't know who it's for. I don't know who this, I think it's for Kim. I literally think when Kris Jenner said you need to write a role for Kim, I think she just meant you need to write a show for Kim, and Kim's just living like in this fantasy world, and this show is her fantasy world, and then these A-listers just kind of tagged along because it's probably just really good publicity to be in a show like that, and maybe it was fun. Maybe it was fun for them to just kind of kick back and do something that's serious, but they were kind of unserious in it. That's the thing, is I don't know what the tone is. If this was a parody or like a camp show, it'd actually be really good. If they really leaned into the absurdity, I think it would actually be pretty funny and pretty good, but it's not. It's a serious show, and that makes it funny, which isn't good, I think. But, watch it if you want. I don't think you have to now, really. I wouldn't. There's some shows that I watch, like, I don't know, more reality TV, like The Mormon Wives show or Keeping Up with the Kardashians. You kind of can just turn your brain off and watch it, kind of thing. But this, you kind of need to take your brain out and throw it down the street. Forget about it a little bit, because there's nothing to absorb here. It's just kind of confusing, upsetting, a little funny, and that's mostly it. But I love Sarah Paulson. She was good. And Niecy had some really good one-liners too. Glenn Close had some moments as well, and Naomi Watts is always fantastic. But it really is. It's like when a bad script is there, it really knocks you down. My goodness, do I appreciate writers after watching this show. My goodness. But yeah, do with that what you will. I'm tired. I'm done. I'm gonna go stare at a wall because I think that would be better than watching this show. Yeah.